Hi lovelies, welcome back to Vintage Mike Tales. I'm so glad you're here. Your love and support truly means the world. Get comfy, relax, and let's dive into a story of love and second chances. Christopher Gary stood before his bathroom mirror, the small velvet box heavy in his palm. 35 years old, and his hands had never trembled like this. Not during his first $1 million deal. Not when he had signed the papers on his real estate firm. But now they shook like leaves in a storm. Kim, I have loved you since the moment you laughed at my terrible joke about escrow accounts, he practiced, his reflection staring back with hopeful eyes. Will you marry me? God, that sounded rehearsed. Because it was. He had been rehearsing for a month. He opened the box again. The diamond catching the morning light streaming through the window. 2 carats, princess cut, set in white gold. Perfect. Just like he had planned everything to be perfect. The surprise visit to her apartment. The ring, the words he had memorized. The life they would build together. Christopher pocketed the box and grabbed his keys. His heart hammered against his ribs as he drove through Virginia's morning traffic, past the familiar streets that would soon become their streets. He had already imagined her in the house he had been eyeing in Charlottesville. Big backyard, room for kids, a porch where they would drink coffee and watch sunrises. 3 years. 3 years of building toward this moment. He pulled into her apartment complex, that nervous energy making him feel 20 again. He had texted her last night that he would be busy with a property showing all day. She had no idea he was coming. The spare key she had given him 6 months ago slid into the lock with a soft click. Kim, baby, surprise! The words died in his throat. Her living room. Their living room. The couch where they had watched countless movies, where he had told her he loved her for the first time. And there she was, wrapped around another man. His hands in her hair, her laugh, that laugh Christopher had fallen in love with, floating through the air like poison. Time fractured into razor-sharp fragments, the velvet box burning in his pocket. Her eyes meeting his, widening with shock, not remorse. The man turning, annoyed at the interruption. Chris, wait, it is not, but it was. It so clearly was. He did not remember leaving. Did not remember getting back in his car. The world had become a watercolor painting left in the rain, all the colors bleeding together into muddy nothing. How long? Who was he? Was any of it real? Questions he did not want answers to carved themselves into his chest. Christopher found himself at a bar, Murphy's, some dive off Route 29 he had never been to before. The kind of place where nobody knew his name. Nobody knew about Gary and Associates real estate. Nobody would ask questions, whiskey, double, actually just leave the bottle. The bartender, a grizzled man with sympathetic eyes, slid the glass across the worn wood. Rough day? Christopher laughed, the sound hollow and sharp. I was going to propose today. He pulled out the velvet box, set it on the bar like evidence in a trial. Spent a month planning it, rehearsing, making sure every word was right. I am sorry, man, do not be. Christopher threw back the whiskey, the burn a welcome distraction. Saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life, right? But his hands were shaking again as he poured another. And another. 3 years. 3 years of his life, poured into a foundation that never existed. The bartender's voice came from far away. Hey, buddy, maybe you should call someone. Get a ride. I am fine, Christopher insisted, his words blurring at the edges. He was not fine. Nothing was fine. Nothing would ever be fine again. The Blue Ridge Parkway stretched before him like a dark ribbon, winding through mountains that had stood for millions of years. They would still be standing tomorrow, next week, long after Christopher Gary became just another cautionary tale about trusting the wrong person. His phone buzzed. Kim calling again. He threw it onto the passenger seat. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The kind of sunset he had imagined proposing under. His vision blurred, and he was not sure if it was tears or the whiskey or both. The road curved. He did not. Metal screaming. Glass shattering. The world spinning in slow motion. His body thrown against the seatbelt. Pain exploding through his ribs. His head cracking against something hard. The car crumpling around him like paper. Then stillness. Christopher's eyes fluttered open to a windshield webbed with cracks. Each line a reminder that everything breaks eventually. Warmth spread across his shirt. Not the warmth of love or hope, but blood. His blood. So much blood. The velvet box had fallen from his pocket. landed on the dashboard. Even now, even dying, all he could think about was that ring. That stupid, expensive symbol of a future that never existed. He tried to move. Could not. Pain radiated from everywhere and nowhere at once. Is this it? He thought. Is this how it ends? Alone on a highway, bleeding out with a ring meant for a woman who never loved me. Darkness crept in at the edges of his vision. Then light. Brake lights. A car pulling over. Footsteps running. Fast, urgent. Oh my God. Oh my God. No, a woman's voice, desperate. Different from Kim's, deeper, richer. Hands on his neck, checking his pulse. Professional hands. Steady despite the panic in her voice. Stay with me. Do you hear me? Stay with me. Christopher's eyes fought to focus. Brown eyes. The most beautiful brown eyes he had ever seen. Wide with fear and determination. A face that seemed to glow in the dying light. An angel. Was he already dead? I am a doctor. I am going to help you. What is your name? Chris Topper. His voice came out broken, wet. Christopher Good, I am Jennifer. Jennifer Richard. And you are going to be okay. Do you understand? You are going to be okay. But he could see in her eyes she was not sure. Could feel in the way her hands moved with increasing urgency that time was running out. She sprinted back to her car. He heard her yelling into her phone. Yes, Blue Ridge Parkway. Mile marker 147. Male, mid-30s. Massive internal trauma. Lacerations. I need life flight now. She was back. A medical bag in her hands. Supplies spreading across the crumpled hood of his car. This is going to hurt, but I need to stop the bleeding. Her hands worked with fierce precision, pressing, stitching, talking to him constantly. Tell me about yourself, Christopher. Stay awake, talk to me. Was going to propose today, the words bubbled up with blood. She is a lucky woman. He laughed, tasting copper. Found her with someone else. Jennifer's hands paused for just a heartbeat, her eyes meeting his. Such sadness there, such understanding. Then she is a fool. The biggest fool in the world. Christopher's hand fumbled for the velvet box, somehow still clutched in his bloody fingers. Keep it, he whispered. Keep it safe, please. She did not. You are real. Jennifer's face swam in and out of focus. Christopher, no, you keep it. You are going to be fine. You are, but darkness was pulling him under, soft and insistent. The last thing he saw was Jennifer's face. Tears streaming down her cheeks, her lips moving in what might have been a prayer or a promise. The last thing he felt was her hand closing around his, around the velvet box that would bind their fates together. Then nothing. Jennifer's hands moved with practiced precision, but her heart was beating like a war drum. This wasn't the controlled environment of her hospital. No surgical lights, no team of nurses, no backup. Just her, a dying man, and the fading light of day on an isolated highway. Christopher, I need you to stay with me. Do you hear me? I need you to fight. His eyes had closed. His chest barely rose. No, not on my watch. Not today. She'd already called for rescue, but the nearest medical helicopter was 20 minutes out. He didn't have 20 minutes. The internal bleeding was severe. She could see it in the distension of his abdomen and feel it in the thready weakness of his pulse. Jennifer ripped open his shirt, buttons scattering across shattered glass. 3 deep lacerations across his torso, one dangerously close to his liver. She worked fast, hands steady despite the terror coursing through her veins. I know you don't know me, Christopher, but I'm not going to let you die. Do you understand? I've had the worst week. 48-hour shifts, 3 emergencies, and I was supposed to be on vacation. Her voice cracked, but she kept talking. Always keep them connected. Always keep them here. I was supposed to be drinking wine and reading a book by a lake somewhere. Instead, my car breaks down and I find you. She irrigated the wounds with saline from her emergency kit. Her movements efficient but gentle. And you know what? I think maybe I was supposed to find you. Maybe my car was supposed to break down right here, right now. Because you're not dying today, Christopher Gary. Not on this highway. Not alone. Her hands worked. Pressure, sutures, clamps. She was performing emergency surgery on the ground, beside the wrecked car as the daylight faded, using only the few supplies she had left. Every medical school professor would have said it was impossible. Jennifer didn't care about impossible. She checked his vitals again. Pulse weaker. Blood pressure dropping. He was crashing. Think, Jennifer, think. The internal bleeding, she couldn't stop it, not here. He needed blood. Needed it now. The helicopter was still 15 minutes away. Your blood type, Christopher. What's your blood type? She shook him gently. His eyes fluttered. But negative, he whispered, barely audible. Jennifer's world stopped. AB negative. The rarest blood type. Only 1% of the population. The same as hers. She stared at her own hands, at the veins running beneath her brown skin, at the blood that could save him. Hold on, she whispered. A prayer and a promise. Just hold on. She'd never done a direct transfusion outside of a hospital. It was dangerous, risky, against every protocol. But protocols didn't account for dying men on deserted highways. Protocols didn't account for the impossible coincidence that she of all people could save him. Jennifer worked with fierce determination, setting up the makeshift transfusion line with tubing from her medical kit. Her hands were shaking now, but not from fear. From the sheer weight of what she was about to do. This is crazy, she said more to herself than to him. This is absolutely crazy, but I've always been a little crazy. She inserted the needle into her own arm first, then his, watched as her blood, her life began flowing into him. The connection was immediate and profound. Her blood becoming his blood, her life sustaining his life. Two strangers bound together by the most intimate exchange possible. My grandmother used to say that blood calls to blood, Jennifer said, her voice soft as she monitored the flow, that we're all connected by invisible threads. I never really believed her. I'm a woman of science. But right now, I believe. Christopher's eyes opened just slightly, focused on her face. Angel, he breathed. No, she said, tears streaming down her face. Just a woman who refuses to let you go. Just a doctor who's too stubborn to lose a patient. Just someone who was in the right place at the right time. The minutes stretched like hours. She watched her blood fill him, watched color slowly return to his lips. Her own head grew light, dizzy, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. I don't even know you, she continued, her voice growing softer, but I know you didn't deserve what happened today. I know that woman, whoever she was, she didn't deserve you. I know that you're strong enough to survive this, to survive her, to become something more than this moment. His hand moved, trembling, reaching for something. The velvet box still clutched in his other hand. Take it, his voice was stronger now, fed by her blood. Please, Christopher, no. That's yours. She didn't want it, didn't deserve it. Each word was a struggle. You saved me. You're real. You're here. Keep it safe. He pressed the box into her hand, his fingers staining it red. Their hands together, blood and promises mixing in the dying light. I don't understand, Jennifer whispered. You will. His eyes held hers intense despite the pain. Promise me you'll keep it. Promise. Jennifer looked down at the box, felt its weight, felt the weight of this moment, this impossible connection. This man who was trusting her with something precious. I promise, she said. I promise I'll keep it safe. And I promise you're going to live to tell me why. Sirens wailed in the distance finally. Christopher's eyes closed again, but this time his breathing was steadier, his pulse stronger. Her blood had bought him time, had bought him life. The helicopter touched down, rotors whipping Jennifer's hair around her face. Paramedics rushed toward them, professional and efficient. Female doctor. Performed emergency roadside intervention, she reported, slipping instantly into medical mode. Male, mid-30s, motor vehicle accident. Multiple lacerations, internal bleeding. I've sutured 3 major wounds and performed direct transfusion. We're both AB negative. He's stable but critical. They worked around her, preparing Christopher for transport. She stepped back, her legs suddenly weak, her arm throbbing where the needle had been. Ma'am, you need medical attention too, a young paramedic said, reaching for her. I'm fine. Take care of him, please. She watched them load Christopher onto the stretcher, watched the helicopter lift him into the darkening sky, watched until the lights disappeared beyond the mountains. Only then did Jennifer allow herself to collapse against her car. Exhaustion and adrenaline crash hitting her all at once. Her hands were covered in blood. His blood, her blood, mixed together, impossible to separate. She looked down at the velvet box still clutched in her hand, opened it slowly. A diamond ring sparkled in the last rays of sunlight. Beautiful, expensive, meant for a woman who'd broken his heart, now entrusted to a stranger who'd saved his life. Jennifer closed the box carefully, held it against her chest. What did I just do? She whispered to the empty highway. But she knew, deep in her soul, In that place where logic couldn't reach, she knew. She'd just met her destiny. And she'd saved his life with her own blood. A tow truck arrived for her car. Then a police officer taking her statement. She answered mechanically, gave them her contact information, accepted a ride to the nearest hotel. In the hotel room that night, Jennifer stood in the shower watching his blood. Their blood swirled down the drain. She'd washed her hands a dozen times, but she could still feel him. Could still feel that moment when her life had flowed into his. She called the hospital. University of Virginia Medical Center. I need information on a patient, Christopher Gary. Came in by helicopter tonight. Motor vehicle accident. Are you family? No, I'm Jennifer paused. What was she? I'm the doctor who saved his life. A pause, then he's in surgery. Critical but stable. That's all I can tell you. Thank you, Jennifer whispered. She called again the next morning. And the morning after that, every day for 3 weeks, checking on a man she didn't know. A man whose blood now ran through his veins mixed with hers. The ring sat on her nightstand, a constant reminder. She couldn't return it yet. Couldn't let go, because somehow, impossibly, she knew. This wasn't over. This was just beginning. Christopher woke up in pieces. First the beeping, steady, mechanical, proof that his heart was still beating. Then the pain, dull now medicated, but present like an old friend who had overstayed their welcome. Finally, the memories. The crash, the blood, brown eyes looking down at him like he mattered, like his life was worth saving. Jennifer, Mr. Gary, you are awake. A nurse appeared beside his bed, professional smile in place. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by my own car, he croaked. His throat was raw from the breathing tube they had removed 2 days ago. The woman, the doctor who saved me. Is she here? The nurse checked his IV. No family has come to visit. Mr. Gary, but you are very lucky. The paramedic said if that doctor had not intervened, you would not have made it to the hospital. I need to find her. Jennifer Richard. She said her name was Jennifer Richard. I can leave a note for your doctor. Rest now, but Christopher could not rest. For 3 weeks. Through surgeries and recovery. Through the fog of pain medication. And the sharper pain of consciousness. One thought consumed him. Find her. The angel who had saved him. The woman with compassionate brown eyes and steady hands. The stranger he had given his engagement ring to in a moment of delirious clarity. Why had he done that? He replayed it constantly. The way she had refused to let him die. The way she had talked to him like he mattered, like his broken heart and shattered body were worth fighting for. Kim had called 47 times. He knew because he had counted before blocking her number. She did not get to be part of his story anymore. That chapter had ended on a highway, baptized in blood and broken glass. But Jennifer. Jennifer was the beginning of something he did not understand yet. At night, when the hospital quieted and his mind would not rest, he imagined her. What was she doing? Was she thinking about him? Did she wonder if he had survived? Did she still have the ring, or had she thrown it away? Dismissed him as another tragic story from an emergency call? The questions haunted him more than the nightmares about the crash. Mr. Gary, you are being discharged today. His doctor appeared on the morning of his 3rd week. Your recovery has been remarkable. Physical therapy will continue outpatient. Do you have someone to pick you up? Christopher looked around his private room. No flowers except the ones the hospital provided. No cards, no visitors. No, he said simply. I will call a car service. The doctor nodded, sympathy in his eyes. You are lucky to be alive. That doctor who found you, she did something extraordinary. Direct transfusion in the field is not something we see often. She saved your life. I know, Christopher whispered. Believe me, I know. He was signing discharge papers when he heard her voice. Excuse me, I am looking for Christopher Gary's room. Christopher's head snapped up. That voice. He knew that voice. Jennifer? He stood too quickly, winced at the pull of healing wounds. She appeared in the doorway and the world rearranged itself. She was more beautiful than he remembered. Fuller figured curves that spoke of confidence and strength. Her brown eyes widened when she saw him standing alive. Whole Christopher. His name on her lips sounded like a prayer answered. You are okay. You are really okay. Because of you. He took a step toward her, then another. I have been trying to find you. I asked everyone. No one knew how to reach you. I called. Jennifer's voice was soft. Every day. They said you were stable. then recovering, then being discharged today. I could not. I had to see for myself. Had to know you were really all right. She reached into her purse, pulled out the velvet box. And I needed to return this. It is yours. Christopher looked at the box like it was a snake. No, I gave that to you. Christopher, this was meant for someone. Someone you loved. I cannot. Someone who did not deserve it. His voice was firm. Someone who broke my heart hours before you saved my life. That ring was meant for a future that does not exist anymore. But you are real. You are here. You gave me your blood, Jennifer. Your actual blood. How do I repay that? How do I thank you for that? Tears shimmered in her eyes. You do not. You just live. You live fully and completely, and you do not let what she did destroy you. I do not have anyone to pick me up, Christopher said suddenly. No family in the area. My friends, I have been so focused on work and a relationship that was not real that I isolated myself, and now I am being discharged to an empty house, and I am supposed to have someone check on me. Help with medications, physical therapy appointments. He saw something shift in Jennifer's expression, a decision being made. Let me take you home, she said. What, let me take you home? Let me help. I am a doctor, Christopher. I can manage your medications, take you to physical therapy, make sure you are healing properly. She stepped closer. I did not save your life on that highway, just to have you struggle alone now. You do not even know me. I know your blood type, she said with a small smile. I know you are strong enough to survive heartbreak and a car crash. I know you trusted me with something precious when you were dying. That is more than most people know about each other after months of dating. Christopher laughed, the sound rusty but real. You are serious, completely. Jennifer's brown eyes held his. Unless you are uncomfortable with it. I do not want to overstep. Uncomfortable? Christopher shook his head in wonder. Jennifer, you are the only person I want to see right now. The only person who does not look at me with pity or obligation. You are everything, he wanted to say. But it was too soon, too much. You are someone I would like to know, he finished. Jennifer smiled, and Christopher felt something in his chest shift. Not pain, but something infinitely more dangerous. Hope. The drive to his house was filled with comfortable silence, punctuated by easy conversation. She asked about his business. He asked about her work at the hospital. Surface-level questions that felt like excavation, uncovering layers they both wanted to explore. His house felt different with her in it. Less empty, less like a mausoleum of failed dreams. Nice place, Jennifer said, setting down her medical bag. Very you. You do not know what is me, Christopher pointed out, amused. Sure I do. She walked through his living room, trailing fingers over furniture. Successful, organized, a little lonely. This house is beautiful, but it does not feel lived in. It feels like a showcase. He stared at her. That is incredibly accurate. I am observant. She turned to face him. Now let us get you settled. I want to check your incisions, make sure everything is healing correctly. As she helped him to the couch, as her gentle hands examined his wounds, as she talked him through his medication schedule, Christopher realized something profound. He did not just want to thank her. He did not just want to repay a debt. He wanted to know everything. Her favorite color, her childhood dreams, what made her laugh, what made her cry. He wanted to understand how someone could be so selflessly brave. He wanted to map every freckle, memorize every expression, learn the language of her silences. You are staring, Jennifer said, not looking up from her examination. You saved my life. You mentioned that. No, I mean, you saved my life in every way a person can be saved. Not just on that highway. Right now. Showing up when I had no one. Caring when you did not have to. His voice broke. Why do you care? Jennifer's hands stilled. She looked up at him, those brown eyes full of something he could not name yet. I do not know, she admitted, I just do. From the moment I saw you bleeding out in that car, something in me knew I could not let you go, and I still cannot. Christopher reached for her hand, held it gently. Then do not. I will not, Jennifer promised. The ring sat on his coffee table, forgotten for now. Because they both understood, this was not about jewelry or grand gestures anymore. This was about two broken people who had found each other in the worst moment and were choosing every day to stay found. The first week, Jennifer came every morning at 8. She let herself in quietly, found Christopher attempting to make coffee one-handed, and gently took over. They developed a rhythm. Her checking his wounds. Him pretending they hurt less than they did. Both of them talking about everything and nothing. "Tell me about medical school," he said one morning, watching her rewrap his ribs with practiced efficiency. Long nights, too much coffee, the overwhelming fear that I'd forget everything during an emergency. She smiled at the memory. "Turns out, when it matters, your hands remember even when your mind panics. You didn't panic on that highway." "Oh, I absolutely panicked. I just didn't let you see it," her hands stilled on his chest. "I was terrified, Christopher. Terrified I'd lose you before I even knew you." The second week she started staying for dinner, Christopher insisted on cooking despite her protests. She sat at his kitchen island, watching him move carefully around his beautiful unused kitchen. "I can't remember the last time I cooked for someone," he admitted, trying to chop vegetables with determined concentration. "Kim always wanted to eat out, said my kitchen was too nice to actually use." "That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." Jennifer hopped off the stool, came to stand beside him. "Here, let me show you my grandmother's technique." Her hands covered his, guiding the knife. The simple intimacy of it, her warmth against his back, her breath on his neck, her patient instruction, felt more profound than any kiss. "See, you're a natural. I have a good teacher." They ate on his back porch, watching the sunset paint the Virginia sky in shades of amber and rose. Christopher found himself talking about things he'd never shared with Kim. His childhood fear of abandonment after his parents' divorce. His drive to succeed because success felt like control. His loneliness in a life that looked perfect from the outside. "I built this empire," he said, gesturing at his house, his life. "But I forgot to build a home. Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense," Jennifer's voice was soft. "I did the same thing. Focused so hard on my career that I forgot to have a life. My friends joke that I'm married to the hospital." "Are you married to it?" She met his eyes. "I'm starting to think maybe I've been waiting for something worth being unmarried for." 2 months later, Christopher broke. Physical therapy had been brutal. The therapist pushed him harder than his body wanted to go. He'd smiled through it, determined to prove he was fine. But when Jennifer arrived that evening, found him sitting in the dark. He couldn't hold it together anymore. "I can't do this," he said, voice cracking. "I can't be weak anymore. Can't be broken. I'm supposed to be the guy who has it all figured out, and instead I'm human," she interrupted gently. Jennifer sat beside him, took his hand. "Christopher, you almost died. You're allowed to be broken. You're allowed to hurt." "I trusted her," he whispered, and suddenly they weren't talking about his physical pain anymore. "I gave her 3 years, planned a future, and she destroyed it without a second thought. How do I trust again? How do I believe anyone will stay?" Jennifer turned to face him fully, her brown eyes fierce in the darkness. "Because I'm still here. Every morning for 2 months I've been here. Not because I have to be. Not because you're paying me, but because when I look at you I see someone worth staying for." She cupped his face gently. "Your ex was a fool, Christopher. But her foolishness gave me the chance to know you, and I wouldn't trade that for anything." He kissed her then. Couldn't stop himself. Poured 3 weeks of gratitude and longing and hope into that kiss. She tasted like possibility, like second chances, like home. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Jennifer smiled. "I've been wanting to do that since week 1. Why didn't you?" "Because you needed to heal first. Needed to be ready." She touched his face tenderly. "Are you ready, Christopher?" "I've been ready since the moment you refused to let me die." The 4th month they were inseparable. Christopher returned to work part-time, but his evenings belonged to Jennifer. They cooked together, laughed together, shared their histories and their hopes. She told him about growing up in a small town, about her grandmother's wisdom, about choosing medicine, because she couldn't stand by while people suffered. "You have such a big heart," he said one night, watching her face in candlelight. "How do you keep giving when the world takes so much?" "Because people like you remind me why it matters. Because saving one life makes every hard day worth it." She leaned forward. "You make it worth it, Christopher." He showed her his business, took her to properties he was developing. She saw the passion beneath his success, the way he built spaces for families to create memories. "You're not just selling houses," she observed. "You're selling dreams." "I used to think I was," he admitted. "But I didn't understand what home really meant until you walked into my hospital room. 6 months passed like breathing. Necessary, natural, inevitable. They'd fallen in love the way autumn turns to winter, gradually then all at once. Christopher couldn't remember his life before Jennifer. Didn't want to. She'd healed more than his body. She'd healed his faith in people, in love in the possibility that someone could see all his broken pieces and choose to stay anyway. One Saturday morning, Christopher woke with clarity. "Get dressed," he told Jennifer. "I want to show you something." They drove to the Blue Ridge Parkway to mile marker 147. Jennifer's hand found his as they stood at the exact spot where their lives had collided. "Why here?" she asked. Christopher pulled out the velvet box. The ring that had survived heartbreak and near death, that had passed between them like a promise neither understood yet. "Because this is where I died and came back to life, where I lost everything and found everything, where an angel with brown eyes gave me her blood and refused to let me go." He knelt, right there on the highway shoulder, cars passing in the distance. "Jennifer Richard, this ring was meant to be yours. I know that now. I was always meant to crash here. You were always meant to save me. Our blood was always meant to flow together." Tears streamed down Jennifer's face. "You're my destiny, Jennifer. My miracle, my home. And I don't want to spend another day without you as my wife. Will you marry me?" "Yes," the word came out choked with emotion. "Yes, Christopher. Oh my God, yes, yes." He slipped the ring on her finger and it fit perfectly, like it had always belonged there. Like she had always belonged with him. Their wedding was small, intimate. A garden ceremony surrounded by the people who mattered most. Jennifer wore a flowing ivory dress that made her look like the angel Christopher had always known she was. When it came time for vows, Christopher took both her hands, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. "Jennifer, on the worst night of my life, you appeared like a miracle. You gave me your blood, your time, your care, and eventually your heart. You saw me at my most broken and decided I was worth saving, not just my body, but my soul. You taught me that love is not about perfection. It is about showing up every single day and choosing each other. I promise to show up for you, to choose you, to love every part of you for the rest of my life. You are my destiny, my home, my everything." Jennifer's tears flowed freely as she spoke, her voice strong and sure. "Christopher, I did not know I was waiting for you until I found you bleeding on that highway. In that moment, something in my soul recognized something in yours. You have shown me that vulnerability is strength, that broken things can heal into something more beautiful than before, and that love worth having is love worth fighting for. I promise to fight for us, to hold you through the hard days, to celebrate you through the good ones, and to love you with the same fierce determination I had when I refused to let you die. You are my miracle, my heart, my home." There was not a dry eye in the garden as they sealed their vows with a kiss. Jennifer's family embraced Christopher like he'd always been theirs. His colleagues marveled at the transformation in him. The warmth, the joy, the wholeness. "You found your person," his business partner said at the reception. "No," Christopher corrected, watching Jennifer laugh with her grandmother. "She found me, and she wouldn't let me go." 2 years later, Jennifer waddled into Christopher's home office, her belly swollen with twins. "They're kicking," she said, taking his hand and placing it where their daughters were dancing. Christopher felt the movement beneath his palm. Eva and Ava, already fighting for space, already full of life. "I was dying on a highway," he said softly. "And now I have this. You, them, everything I never knew I needed." Jennifer kissed him slowly. "You were never dying, love. You were being reborn. We both were." The night Jennifer went into labor, Christopher held her hand through every contraction, every push, every moment of pain and triumph. "You saved my life once," he whispered, as Eva entered the world, screaming and perfect. "And you saved mine every day since," Jennifer replied as Ava followed minutes later. Their daughters had Jennifer's brown eyes and Christopher's determination. They grew up hearing the story of how Mommy saved Daddy's life on a highway, how their blood had mixed before their hearts did, how a diamond ring became the symbol of destiny. On their 5th anniversary, Christopher and Jennifer returned to mile marker 147. Their daughters played nearby. As they stood at the spot where everything had changed, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if my car hadn't broken down?" Jennifer asked. Christopher pulled her close. "No, because I don't believe in what-ifs anymore. I believe in destiny. I believe that my heart always knew where to crash, and your heart always knew where to stop. We were written in each other's blood long before that night." "That's beautiful." Jennifer murmured against his chest. That's us, Christopher replied. Impossibly perfectly us. The ring on Jennifer's finger caught the sunlight, the same ring that had survived heartbreak, that had been given in desperation, that had been returned in hope, that had been offered in love. It had always been hers. She had always been his. And they had always been meant to find each other in blood, in breath, in the binding promise that some people are worth dying for and even more worth living for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I loved sharing it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep believing in destined love and keep your hearts open. This is Vintage Mike Tales.